In the world of snowmobiling, the snow almost always seems to be deeper on the other side of the fence, and far too often we set our sights on distant destinations in search of the epic ride, when in reality, it might be a lot closer to home than we think. Living in Ontario, I have the opportunity to ride some of the best trails in the world right out of my front steps. But more often than not, I forget that with a little trailering, I have access to thousands of more miles of incredible trail systems, wonderful little snowmobile-friendly towns, and adventure that only Ontario can offer. In past years, we've taken you on travel trips like the Snow Train, which is an Ontario experience that can't be matched. You won't find this level of fun and excitement elsewhere. The Snow Train runs both summer and winter for snowmobile and ATV participants, picking you and your ATV or sled up in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, and shuttling you to Wawa, about a 6-hour ride north by rail. Now, we at Snowtrax and Dirtrax TV have experienced both these adventures multiple times, but what we have often overlooked is the amazing riding that can be had in the town of Wawa itself. Typically, it's only an overnight stop, but we thought for 2012, we would take the time to experience Wawa as our feature Ontario destination. By car, Wawa is located about 2.5 hours north of the Sault and about a day's drive from Toronto, Ontario. Now, it's on the edge of Lake Superior and is probably one of the most beautiful drives you'll ever take in a truck or trailer any time of the year. Driving the edge of Lake Superior means big lake vistas and the always unpredictable lake effect snow. The conditions drastically change as you begin the drive out of the Sault, and you start to realize just how different the landscape is from other riding destinations in Ontario. Wawa is known for big snow, and they don't disappoint, regularly having far earlier snow in the season than most other destinations. For a trip to Wawa this year, I thought it'd be a good idea to bring along my best friend, Stefan. Stefan's been on a couple of other Snowtrax travel stories with us and has actually done the Snow Train ride a couple of years ago. But like myself, he hasn't actually spent any time riding right here in Wawa.
A couple years ago, I've had the opportunity to ride the Snow Train up here with Snowtrax, and never really got to ride in the area. We just basically left from Wawa back to Sault Ste. Marie.
If there's one thing that's going to let you know that you've arrived to Wawa, it's probably the 28-foot steel statue of a Canadian goose. It overlooks Highway 17, and it definitely lets you know in a big way that you've made it all the way to Wawa. The iconic goose has been standing since its dedication in 1961 and has been featured in many ways, the most notable being a commemorative Canadian stamp in 2010. The name Wawa is actually a derivative of an Ojibwe word meaning wild goose. So if you ride in Wawa, you're pretty much required to get your picture taken in front of the big giant goose, because there's not one like it anywhere else, and it pretty much proves that you've been here and rode here. The accommodations for our stay are at the Wawa Motor Inn, featuring 70 rooms and 18 chalets. You'll feel at home any way you stay. The Motor Inn features a coffee shop, dining room, and lounge with 27-foot fireplaces and is fully serviced all day long. The rustic 2-bedroom chalet we're staying in is fully equipped and has all the amenities of home. This place is first class for sledders. Shortly after settling into our 2-bedroom chalet, we figured that it was probably time to get out and head out on the trails. And from what we hear, the trails here are great. They were all groomed, everything was open, and we hear that there's a lot of pretty cool places to go and visit and neat sights to see.
trails leading out to Mount Dicey were really good. They were freshly groomed, they're really twisty, a lot of hills, a bunch of spots where you could open it up, great scenery. It was really, really good riding.
One of the most beautiful vistas that you're going to see anywhere in Ontario is the Lake Superior overlook, and it's right here in Wawa. It's literally like a 5 minutes ride outside of town, and the vista and sight that you get to see is pretty incredible on a clear day. Experiences like Mount Dicey are what sets a place like Wawa apart and really makes a trip special. Not to mention the incredibly groomed and perfectly maintained trails that the Wawa snow riders have kept up. You know, it's pretty impressive how many places in Wawa there are that you can just pull right off the trail and have a really cool experience, something totally unique and different. And most of them have to do with Lake Superior, but in reality, for a place like Wawa, and anywhere really, it's kind of a big deal.
Another cool place that we stopped at was this beach. It was snow covered and it had a really nice view of Lake Superior. And it's one of those places that if you just come up here to do the snow train trip, that you just don't get to experience.
It's funny when I look at a place like Ontario, I realize that I haven't even scratched the surface of what it's got to offer. And Wawa is one of those little diamonds in the rough that often gets overlooked. But I think in reality, it should be on every snowmobiler's bucket list.
Wawa often gets overlooked just because it's north of Sault Ste. Marie, but sledders from Canada and the US should take the time to come up here. The trails are really good, the scenery is spectacular. It's definitely an awesome place to ride.
You know, it's really cool that a place like Wawa has over 500 miles of groomed trails. That's enough that you're not going to see the same trail for days. They also offer a bunch of pre-marked loops that you can do, leaving from town, that'll either take a morning, an afternoon, or a whole day. The trails up here are smooth as butter, well maintained, clearly marked, and accessible from most anywhere in town. This place was designed for snowmobiling.
After spending a weekend up here in Wawa and getting to ride all the really good trails and experiencing the different attractions and the great hospitality and accommodations, this is a place that I would highly recommend to any snowmobiler.
From the time that you arrive in Wawa until you're ready to pack up and go home, you don't need to get back in your truck or trailer because the whole town is snowmobiler friendly and they really make it hard for you to leave. A destination like Wawa is not that far out of the way for riders in Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and right here in Ontario. The snow conditions, trail conditions, and overall attitude of the welcoming residents and loyal hotel, motel, and resort operators make you want to spend time here, experience all the area has to offer, and come back for more. And with options like the Superior Snow Challenge, the Snow Train, and a wide variety of local day loops, you can keep coming back year after year and never do the same thing twice. You know, Wawa really is a diamond in the rough. From their picturesque trails network to businesses and locals that'll go out of their way to make you feel welcome. This place absolutely represents the saying, there's no place like this.